Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. I am your host, Frank Hernandez, the Pest Geek. I'm going to be discussing with you today our exclusive no spray indoor service for controlling German cockroaches in homes and apartments. And we've been doing this process now for about 9 years. And I talk to people all the time when I just got a consultation that I did on Sunday with a technician that called me. He was having trouble with ads and not getting clicks. And we had this about hour-long discussion about the reality of marketing. But then we got into this issue of roach service. And he basically told me, bro, how are you doing your roach? I've heard you talk about it. And he was blown away when I told him, look, we have a zero spray policy in our company because we're eco-friendly. So the most way that you can be eco-friendly is through an integrated pest management process where you only use the chemical that is required to get the control. And if there is no chemical to be applied to get the control, then no chemical is used. I mean, that's just a reality of what we do in IPM, and integrated pest management. And we've been doing this with German roaches for 9 years now. And we've actually, over the time, we perfected it over the last 5 years. But we are no crack and crevice, no pyrethroids, no baseboard sprays indoor, no liquid at all spraying. I keep getting call after call after call from both customers and technicians that said, my technician told me that I had to remove everything from my cupboards in order to do service. I don't want to do that. I want to go with an eco-friendly approach. And I thought that yours was that, and I'd had to still remove. And I said, listen, with our process, you don't have to remove anything from your cupboards. We don't contaminate the plates. There's no contamination of surface. There's no contamination of utensils, of cookware. None of that needs to be done with this type of service. We get 98% usually control within the first 30 days, and with a follow-up service that we do, we then get the rest because we're dealing with that second generation. We're dealing with all the nymphs that have been born. We're dealing with all the egg hatching. And since we're introducing IGRs into the environment, that even greatly gets reduced because we get roaches to drop their eggs and abort them before the fact. So by the time we go in there and we do our follow-up service, we've already gotten about 98% control, where we're basically dealing with one or two roaches here and there. And we're talking about in the most difficult situations. We've done it for the last 3 years. We did a project where we worked at HUD housing. Okay. This is inner city HUD, basically government housing, where they have not been able to control the roaches. They had another company doing the traditional baseboard spray in the kitchen and in the bathrooms, and that's it. And the people still had roaches all over the place. We went in there and we worked on this project for 3 years. And on the medium cases, we were getting control on 2. The hard cases, 3, the really hard cases, 6 services. So we're talking about, when we get into a hard case, we're talking about vacuuming tens of thousands of roaches out of a structure where they're already in the living room, they're in the dining room, they're in every bedroom. We're talking about spending 4 hours in there doing an initial service because there's literally roaches in the old vinyl flooring. There's roaches lined up around the living room. They're in the couch. I mean, we're talking about the most serious case. And we get this done within 3 to 6 months, where we completely get them down to 0. And people said it can't be done. But the issue is that follow-up, that persistence, and then also having the procedure in place. So I'm going to share with you guys what I've been doing to control this, because he says, bro, you've blown my mind because I was told to spray low and bait high. I said, we bait everything. We do 0. As a matter of fact, I got a demo on my personal business site for our company where we actually show the customer how we do it, because nobody's doing it this way. And that is our unique selling proposition. That is our advantage. This is what I'm talking about, doing what nobody's willing to do. Nobody's willing to do. He's been in business now, and he's been working for other companies. And I've had this conversation time after time after time with people saying it can't be done. I said, it can't be done because you simply have decided it can't be done. You haven't renewed your mind, your thinking to a new way of doing things, to embracing IPM, to embracing the least toxic method to do something. And you've basically adapted to not believe it because you've gone in there and your company told you it couldn't be done because they decided to do it that way. So I'm going to get with you, but I wanted to give a special shout out to Pest King Services, Kyle at Pest King Services in Gainesville, Georgia. Hey, if you're needing a pest control and wildlife company to do exclusion work, to do your roach service, to do your regular bed bug pest control, give Kyle a call. Number is 844-247-5464 is Pest King Services in Gainesville, Georgia. That's 844-247-5464. Also, I wanted to remind my audience that we've got the academy, the Pest Geek Academy. We've got a training academy for new technicians where we're teaching everything from law to application to, cleanup, everything they need to know in about 10 classes. And we're going to have that out soon, but my friend is still working on the platform, and that's coming soon. We also launched Pest Pro Local in Florida, Texas, and California. If you're in one of those, go look up our Facebook group for Pest Pro Local. If you're there, what we're looking to do is people who are listening to me on this podcast and would like somebody that does it, kind of the same way we're doing with the recommending IPM, where we're doing the right way. If you're that kind of customer and you want to give advice to somebody who is going on to a group, has a problem, needs a pest identification, be the guy, the local guy that's going to help them out. So in exchange, you could get that local business. Okay. So we're doing that. We're launching the Pest Pro Local interview. So what I want you to do is we're going to be launching it on our podcast where it says guests, and you're going to have an option of doing like a 10 a.m. On a Tuesday, or maybe, an 8 p.m. on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We're trying to figure that out, but it's going to be there. What I want you guys to know is we want to do local interviews with local pros that solve a local problem, and they show people how to do it right. In exchange, they get to be on YouTube. We can try to get them on Google by doing a backlink and helping them with that, and then also putting a page up for that podcast where people can go and reference that. So that's one of the things that we're doing. And also I wanted to remind, hey, if you need that phone to ring, maybe you need Ring Boost. Ring Boost is one of the nation's largest provider of 1-800 numbers, vanity numbers, like 1-800-GOT-BUGS or 888, got bugs, toll free, or maybe you just need a local number that's easy to remember, like 305-500-600. Give Ring Boost a call. Better yet, go to ringboost.com, enter the promo code PEST15, and you're going to get 15% off every one of their services. We also have a dedicated page, which is ringboost.com/pest. If you go there, you will see our page for the Pest Geek Podcast, and then also enter the promo code PEST15, and you will go ahead and get 15% off of everything. That is ringboost.com PEST15. And if you're looking to do a wildlife video or a wildlife control segment, contact Steven Van Tassel so he can interview you on that, because I'm handling pest, he's handling wildlife. So back on to what I was discussing about doing our services. Okay, we have used exclusively 3 products, and that's it. Zero Spray Service, that's an exclusive service. And this is what I'm talking to you guys about in the industry, about having a unique selling proposition. My unique selling proposition is it's convenient. You don't need to remove your plates. There is no contamination of any of that. There's no disruption. People are like, do I need to leave the home while you're doing this? No, you don't need to leave the home. We have a unique selling proposition for customers that don't want to be inconvenienced by traditional services. So this is why we're able to charge more, ask for more, because we're giving more. We're giving that convenience. Think about the person that has to take everything out of their cupboards to do a roach cleanout. I mean, that is so like 1984. And when you don't have to do that, you create a unique selling proposition for that client that nobody. That's what we emphasize, the fact that we don't have to contaminate their plates. We don't have to contaminate their utensils. We don't have to contaminate the floors, the surface. Why? Because they got children and they got pets. And you're saying, well, pesticides don't contaminate. Well, understand this. If the customer has a children or pet, what service are they going to prefer? One that you actually put a chemical on the floor or one that you don't? And that's when, if we can solve that problem without it, that's what we sell against. Now, you may not like that. You may not like me saying that, but that's our unique selling proposition. That's what we sell against. We sell against having all that disruption, the fact that you don't have to leave, the fact that there is no surface contamination. We are an IPM company. This is the same thing. Hey, if you went into a kitchen in a hospital, you couldn't just spray the floors and get away with that. You couldn't do it in a patient room. You couldn't do it at a clinic. So we bring that same technology over to the home. Yes, it takes more time. Yes, it costs more. But that is our unique selling proposition. That's what we have. That's what differentiates me from everybody else. And you're saying, how can I charge more? How can I do more? How can I differentiate? Well, if you're selling the same baseboard service with the same crack and crevice that everybody else is saying, where you have to remove everything from the cupboards, then you're no different than anybody else. You need something. You're saying, well, what sets me apart is me. Yeah, the problem is, here's the problem in the reality in marketing. When you're doing advertising, when you're doing marketing, when you're doing Facebook ads, when you're doing SEO, the customer doesn't know you. Nobody knows you. You have to prove what you can do first, then you build the relationship, then the customer trusts you to do more. On referrals and the businesses, that is different. But when we're talking about marketing and we're talking about advertising and we're talking about, you need to have that unique selling proposition besides you, because nobody knows you from that other end and they have nothing to compare it to. Well, I give personalized service. So does every other independent guy. See, that's a Me Too service. And what people want to do is they want to switch from Essentria, from bifenthrin over to Essentria and say, we're green. No, that's just a Me Too service. You can't control a German roach problem really, really effectively with Essentria unless you're going to do that traditional clean out like the old Bugs Burger services. That's where they got it from. And do that crack and crevice. Yeah, you can. You can remove everything from the cupboards. You can do crack and crevice everywhere. You can fog behind. You can use a UOV. You can use an Actazol. And you can get control with Essentria, with Ecovia, with Dust, with any one of those products and do it the old way with the chemical, but you still have all that disruption, and people don't want that disruption these days. Understand that people are addicted to ease, to convenience, and to low cost, low prices. If it takes too darn long, if it's too difficult to do, if it costs too much, it can't be done. So I'm sharing with you guys my philosophy, and I'm also sharing with you what we use. The number one thing we go with, the number one product we have is we use our Advion. Now, you could use any roach bait, really. Any roach bait is going to kill roaches. It doesn't matter which one you use. The question I get is, well, why don't you rotate it? Because you're going to get resistance. Here's why we don't get resistance. When we use Advion, Advion is the only active ingredient, which is indoxacarb, that has a horizontal effect, but it has a secondary and tertiary and even up to a quad of control because of the way it metabolizes through the system of that roach. A roach will eat it, it will pass through the feces. He will vomit that through tryphallaxis. And you have anal tryphallaxis and you have oral tryphallaxis. And they're going to go ahead and they're going to pass through the system. Well, there's enough active ingredient that doesn't metabolize in the roach. The roach system does not destroy it. It passes through. The nymphs that are around there and the other roaches will eat that. It passes through them to another roach. And they will eat the vomit and they will eat all this. And there's still enough active ingredient to possibly pass through a fourth time. I actually have studies on this that have actually been proven in a lab that this happens with this product. This is the reason why we use it. This is the reason why we don't have to do so many follow-ups, because the active ingredient is through the normal biology of that roach. The way that roach behaves then it is using that biology against them and taking advantage of it. This is why we can wait 30 days. And we tell the client, we don't want to come back in 7 days. We don't want to come back in 14. We want to wait 30 days. By that time, the roaches have done their job through their biology of wiping themselves out. If we have a severe infestation, we're going to come back in a week because they're going to consume all the bait. There's still a lot of live roaches. We might have to do some more vacuuming. And we do vacuuming on those intense jobs. We do vacuuming and air flushing and get them out and then use the bait. But we're going to get 98% control. Usually, when the people say, most people like, no, you don't need to come back. The roaches are going to say, no, listen, if we don't come back, a lot of those eggs are going to hatch. You haven't seen them yet. In 3 months, you're going to be the same way. We want to hunt it down. We want to find out where there's still nesting sites. How do we use this? The label says about a 1/4 inch ball, about every 2 feet. What we've done is we reduced it to about a 1/16 of an inch, which is dividing that by 4, and we go to every foot. And we apply this product in a grid pattern. We use a cubic foot pattern. So if there's a cabinet up top, we're putting one little dot back here, one little dot over here, one little dot up front, and one little dot on this. So in a 4-foot area, they've got 4 little dots, which is the equivalent of that 1/4 inch. But the problem is they're lazy sometimes and they don't want to crawl out and get it. So we put it close by. In large cabinet, 36 inch, we're going to do a dot, dot, dot. We're going to do dot, 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 and dot, dot, dot at the bottom, and then dot, dot, dot in the front of the cabinet. And we'll do the hinges too because they like going in there. Okay, so that's what we do. So now we've taken the same amount of active ingredient and now we've divided it by 4 and put it in more places where those roaches can find it a lot easier. Underneath the cabinets, we get in all the way to the back of that cabinet and go ta, 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 all the way across the top, all the way across the side, all the way across the front, especially underneath those sinks. Go down, and then we start going in the shelves, and we do the same thing underneath the shelves. So the customer barely sees any bait. This is the other advantage of not putting a strip of bait, not putting a 1/4 inch ball, is that the customer does not see the bait. The bait literally gets consumed and it's gone most of the time because it's already gone from the rodent, the insect eating it, and the customer doesn't see it. So very little bait gets applied, but we do it at a 1 foot. So we don't violate the label of the maximum amount of grams you can use in the square feet that you have. And we do that. Now we do the inside of the cabinets all the way down to about a foot from the bottom. We don't really need to bait the bottom unless we find, and then we look at the rails, we look at all the railing, everything inside. So basically it's back, down, down, front, all the way around. Then we move to the outside of the cabinet. We pull the drawers open and we go to that back of those drawers, and we make sure we're tagging that whole area. Close everything. Look at the front of the drawer. Dang, 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 all around that drawer. Maybe 2 to 3 dots around the door. We're talking about, going from a 1/4 of an inch, which is this big, down to like a 1/16 of a ball, and we're putting that. Then we take the front where the countertop meets that front faceplate in the stiles and rails. And we're going in all those little cracks, 1 foot, all the way around the entire kitchen. Go down to the thresholds, and underneath the thresholds, one dot all the way around the entire kitchen, everywhere. Pull the fridge, the side of the cabinet, dot, 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 all the way down, baseboard down. I see people putting dots like 20,000 dots. I've seen that. That looks ridiculous. We take that refrigerator, back of the refrigerator, the entire back, literally, especially the bottom part where those roaches are, where they love that cardboard. We're putting it all the way around that cardboard, and we're baiting around that refrigerator, dot, 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 all the way around the fridge completely. Usually you have an upper cabinet. We're going under there. Every crack that we find, dot, 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 dot. Underneath the hood, the range hood, especially underneath that top cabinet, on the bottom part of the top cabinet, completely going across, we're treating that, dot, 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 because they love to go underneath there, especially on the side of the cabinets, on the outside, and there. Stove, do the same thing. Go around the cabinet, dot, 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 around the stove, dot, 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 all around that stove completely, because they're going to be inside everywhere on that stove. Microwave, dot, 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 Coffee maker, ... We put maybe 2 dots, 3 dots, very tiny dots. So these get eaten. They don't get seen. Most of the time, they're not going to even notice that they're there. We don't want strips of anything put anywhere where people can see it. Any crack that you find. We do the same thing in the bathroom and in the kitchen. Normally, we don't have to spray the rooms because roaches aren't in there. If we find roaches and we expect them and we inspect a drawer, and that has to be a rare one, we put the same thing through the drawers, nowhere near the clothes, nowhere near it touches anything. All right? Pull the outlets. And we used to use Advert. We switched to this now. We're going to start using this. This is the new precision delivery system by CSI, by Control Solutions. What you do is, this little guy right here, in here has a little jar. It comes with these known as Doxim. Now, this is also in Doxacarb. And it comes with these little bottles, and you put the little bottle, and you, by the way, you do have to shake up those bottles. They do get compacted, like compact, and you shake it until it breaks up. You install it. It comes with this little thing right here, and you got an on and off switch right here to turn it on and off. And then you're going to take your little straw in the front. This has this little protector right here. Let me show you. You take the little straw out, the little protector, you put in your straw, and you hit the trigger, and it basically puffs it out. You want to do like literally click, click, click. You don't want to hold that finger because it will blow it out. It will use up a lot. So what you want to do is we pull the outlets, back of the outlets, not inside the box, but in the back of the wall. We puff it in there, puff it in there. Then we take our bait and we inject inside that box with the bait. So roaches are in there, we're going to get them. Seal all up all the outlets. We're done. The other thing that we use is we foam seal underneath all of our pipes. So all of the inlet pipes coming in, we use foam seal. We use the white foam that is the, just lost my train of thought on that. Wow, we used dozens of these cans of Daptex foam. So there you go. It's Daptex foam, and we take the Daptex foam, and that foam does not expand. It stays where you put it. We seal underneath all the pipes because this deals with American roaches too, by the way. So we seal up for American roaches. We do it in the kitchen and bathroom. We do the same thing with this that we do in the kitchen, we repeat in the bathrooms. The last product that we use is Point Source by Zoecon. Point Source is an IGR. It's a hydroprene. S-hydroprene. I don't know if you can see there. Move it back. And what I love about this product is it comes in these little discs. You have the little glue backings that you put in the back. So you're going to take one of these. You're going to peel them, which I love. And you just peel that little thing right there. You stick it to the back. You peel this out. Has this little thing right here, and you break that. You snap it inside. It's got a glass little casing, and then it's going to fill this up right here with the IGR. We have a place where we put it. We put it top right of the sink, so we're always looking for it. Gets replaced on every apartment quarterly service. We replace this. This is what's going to be the sealing, the dusting behind the outlets, and the dusting behind if you have pipes. You want to dust the pipes first and then seal them. This is what's going to give you your prevention from roaches coming across from apartment units. That's all we really do on a quarterly service is we dust with Advert bait. Now we're using the new Doxim bait with the precision delivery system. That's our maintenance. And then obviously glue monitors. Let me show you this. The glue board monitors that we're using is the Trapper Max glue boards. Why? Let me show you this. This is a brand new box we just got. And I'm going to open this one right here. We're going to do an unboxing live on the podcast. All right. And this has a super wide surface for catching bugs. We put this underneath the fridge, behind the fridge, on the side of the fridge where we can easily access it, underneath the stove, and underneath the dishwasher. By the way, this is great for going around the dishwasher where you can't pull that dishwasher up, but you got it back there. You can put it through the hose that comes out of the back, usually from where the water hose is coming in, inject it through there and inject it through the front, and also the back of the housing of a refrigerator. It's great to do it back there because you get where roaches are. So we take the glue board and we put it there, and this is our monitor. Now we know how much roaches we have, and this is what we put in 3. Usually we use 2, one underneath the fridge and one underneath the stove, and this is what we look for every single time, because roaches have been found that they're not going to be underneath the sink all the time. You put those little monitor boards that you used to use, and we would never catch anything with that, and we were putting the little, glue boards underneath the sink, like people stick them, you see the company stick them right underneath use the water cap to tighten them and hold them into place. Never actually found any roaches in there. Why? They're going to go to warm places. And the warm places with moisture is behind the fridge, and monitoring, there was a good monitoring article put out by, it was Entomology Today that put it out on in apartment buildings, how to do monitoring for them in different locations. And what they found is by putting it next to the refrigerator and doing it underneath the stove, you would catch more bugs, more roaches by being able to do that. So this is all I do, guys, for controlling roaches. And why am I so passionate about it? Because I'm passionate about IPM. I'm passionate about not having to spray a chemical. The least amount of chemical that we put in the apartment, in the house, the greener we can be. Understand that there is no such thing really as 100% organic to control ants and roaches. You can, but again, you got to go through the disruptive process. Then you have the odors of natural products in the home. If a kid has an allergy and you're spraying natural products in the home, those things can trigger asthma and allergies inside the home. And that's why we don't spray natural surfaces. What is more natural than not having to always put a product to solve the problem? So by sealing, by putting it behind the wall, you're reducing the amount of product that's available. It's about IPM. And a lot of people don't want to hear this. A lot of people wish I didn't talk about it. But if we're going to say, if somebody calls me into a surgical clinic because they've got an American roach problem, can we solve it? The other product that we use is Max Force Complete. We puff that underneath the voids, in the voids, because Max Force Complete does well for American roach service, and it does work for German cockroaches too. So we've now got 3 baits that we're putting in there. We have an IGR, we have sealing, and we have the monitor. So that is our protocol for dealing with German roaches, and we've done it in every environment. We've tested it everywhere, the most difficult environment, and it works. We've taken apartment buildings, 8-unit apartment buildings that every unit was severely infested, and we've completely cleaned them out with this. And that's what you're selling. Now, you want to do it fast? The average apartment unit to do this really is, I can knock one out in 20, 25 minutes on a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. In a single family home, we get this done in 35 to 45 minutes, and that includes all the bathrooms. So it really doesn't take that much, where you're saving in labor of having to make sure. Then you get there and you tell the customer, you told them to remove it and everything isn't removed, and now you got to start removing everything, and you waste all this time. This is 100% effective for us. This is our service that we use, and this is how we do it. Why are you sharing it? Aren't you afraid that people are going to do it? No, the reality is that people are set in their ways and they're not going to do it. And this is what separates me and what separates businesses like mine and people that embrace this from everybody else. This is the unique selling proposition that we have. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, do me a favor, guys. If you're listening to me on the podcast, if you're watching me on YouTube, hey, subscribe to the channel, give it a like, leave me a comment, and share this with your friends. Hey, this is Frank the Pest Geek wishing you a pestacular day.